me, the mentality is a really simple one in the sense that the confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before, right? So when I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing, right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So what's one more time? Right? Whatever you're doing at that moment is what you're doing at that moment. It's like that's where the obsessiveness is having attention to detail for the action that you are performing at the time you're performing it. And if you can have that kind of focus, you can't help but to have a certain level of obsession or attention to detail. Always going after it. And if there's a challenge that ensues, oh, good, I want to see how I stack up to that. So you go after it. And it's just, it's fun. It's like you get a chance to compete against opponents, and you get a chance to see where you stack up against them. It's like, I want to see. Maybe I'm not good enough today. If that's fine. I'll be good enough the next time I see you, though. And you get a chance to always measure yourself. And it's just fun to do that. So I guess that's where relentlessness comes from. If your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions. Right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4, you go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in. I want to be one of the best basketball players who have ever played. That's the end goal. Okay, how do I get there? And every decision I made in my life was centered around the process of helping me eventually get there. You know what I'm saying? So I had that purpose. And once I had that purpose, every decision that I made was centered around that purpose. The Mamba Mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day, you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest. So starting at the age of 2, when I first started playing the game, and on and on and on, I always ask questions. I always try to get better every single day, learn more.
You were asking questions at 2?
Oh, dude, I was asking questions all the time. You'd be surprised. Like some people, like my kids at 2 could do a lot of things. Right? At 2, I could dribble a basketball. I could shoot a basketball on the Nerf hoop at the house. And I would go to practice with my father. I would observe my father. I'd sit and watch games with him. And
was he your first coach?
Yeah, man, I guess you could say that. A lot of things I learned by being around the game. Right? So by the age of 6, I was already strategizing versus other 6-year-olds. At the age of 6, I figured out 6-year-olds couldn't dribble with their left hand. And so I said, okay.
A lot of 12-year-olds can't dribble with their left hand.
Well, imagine 6. So when I was playing these 6-year-old kids, I would make them dribble with their left because I knew they couldn't. And so they dribble off their foot, I'd pick it up, lay it up. Do it again, dribble off foot, pick it up, lay it up. So at 6 years old, I had 63 points. And I remember my dad.
So your 6-year-old self could beat your 38-year-old self because you only scored 60 in the last game.
Yeah, no, but I can dribble with my left though, so that's a problem. But yeah, I mean, listen, I just constantly looked for things to learn from, and very observant.
Okay, so when we talk about the Mamba Mentality, you have your exhibition today, starting in Shanghai, right? Also, we've been talking about this whole tour with young kids that are 5, 10, 15, 20. We just did a Kobe Academy right now. We talk about being passionate, being obsessive, being relentless, being resilient, and being fearless. These are the 5 pillars of the Mamba mentality. So we'll kind of break that down today.
Sure.
The first one is to be passionate. What is that? Is there a moment where you can define your passion for the game, or was it just something accumulated over time?
Well, I mean, the passion came from the love for the game. I loved everything about it, like the smell of the ball.
You love the smell of the ball?
Yes, the ball. The smell of like brand new sneakers, and like the sound the ball makes when it hits the ground.
Sneakers in the gym.
Sneakers squeaking. Yeah, the ball going through the net, like all those things I love. And so the passion comes from that, because once you have that love, you just want to be a part of this thing all the time.
When you talk about this love, when does it develop? Did you like it when you were 5, or is it something that kind of gradually?
It was 2. I was born, and I was born to play basketball. You know what I mean? And I played a lot of different sports, but nothing brought me the sense of peace and of escape, that the game of basketball did.
Is it an escape when you get on the court? Is that your zen time, your solitude time?
Yeah.
Even though it's a teamwork game?
Yeah, when I need that escape, it's there for me, right? When I need a friend, it's there for me. When I need to vent, and
the Mamba comes
it's
out.
there, So the game is absolutely everything.
When I brought it up, like, is it genetic, or you just learned it? I mean, how did that idea even come up? Because that's obviously a pillar of Mamba mentality, the obsessiveness. This is just like you said. I'm going to get up at 4. Everybody's get up at 6. If everybody's going to get up at 4, I'm going to get up at 2. Right. How do you develop that, or where do you learn that from?
Well, I think it's just it's just a matter of what's important to you, and what's important to you for whatever reason. I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. Right. So the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it, because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be. And so that's where it comes from for me. You can't leave any stone unturned. Well, what I did is, I went home and I was just really angry. And
angry?
I was angry. I was mad. I was angry. I worked so hard for us to get to the playoffs and to have a chance to win another championship, and then this happened. So I had a lot of anger. And then from the anger, then I was sad. And then you start feeling bad for yourself. And then you say, all right, okay, I'm done being a baby. Okay, what am I going to do now? Because I can't sit here and give up. That's not an option. So now what?
How long was this cycle from this anger?
This is one night.
One night?
This is one night. It's a process. You look at process. What am I going to do? What can I control? Surgery, we'll do the surgery. Come out of the surgery, recover. From there, physical therapy. Okay, physical therapy, piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, start running, back on the court. And so I broke things down into sections and said, okay, I'm going to focus on resting right now. This is it. I'm going to focus on moving my toes and then walking. And then, so you look at every challenge at every step, and that's how you're able to be resilient and come back from these things.
What does that mean to you, to be fearless? Why is that such an important part of the Mamba mentality?
Well, I mean, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves, actually. I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have. And it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.
When you got to the league, you were 18. Did you have any fears before getting there? Or when you got there right away?
Yeah, I mean, I had fears that everybody was going to be right. I made a poor choice, poor decision.
Jump from high school to the NBA.
And I wasn't going to amount to anything. So that was always in the back of my mind, for sure. The key, I feel, is just to be aware of those moments as they occur. Right? You're aware of a certain fear or a certain obstacle or challenge, right? You're just aware of those things. And then from there, you can navigate through them. But I look at them all as one connecting. So like everybody's box is different. My box was to be extremely ambitious within the sport of basketball. Your box is different than mine, right? Every kid here has their own box, but it doesn't mean that your box isn't as beautiful as mine, right? Everybody has their own. It's your job to try to perfect it and make it as beautiful of a canvas as you can make it. And if you have done that, then you have lived a successful life. You have lived with Mamba mentality. Right? So it doesn't mean you have to go out here and do all of these crazy things. I'll have to be like this person or that person. No, what are you comfortable being? What is it that you want to do with your life? And once you have that, then you try to live it to the best of your ability.